What happens when two underdog rookies overlooked in the draft, doubted by scouts, and left off everyone's radar meet again under the bright lights of an NFL joint practice? That's exactly what happened when Shedeur Sanders was buried fourth on the Browns' depth chart and Jimmy Horn Jr., a so-called sixth-round throwaway for United, was on the field, this time as opponents. But instead of exchanging warm memories, they sent a message to the league. You got this all wrong. And here's the wild part. Shedeur didn't even throw a touchdown. He went just 4 for 7. No touchdowns, no picks, just clean, calm, calculated quarterback play. But it wasn't about the stat sheet. It was about how he moved, how he led, and how the energy shifted every time he stepped behind center. It was tangible and real, and for the first time in this drama-filled Browns camp, it felt like Shedeur was finally getting the spotlight on his terms. Meanwhile, Jimmy Horn was cooking Cleveland's defense on the other side. The same guy Shedeur once called the heart of Colorado is now being praised by Panthers coaches as one of the biggest steals of the entire draft. So here's the question no one seemed ready to ask. If both of these men are thriving in the NFL already, why were they left out of the league's plans to begin with? And what happened to joint practice just might make the league regret it. The numbers don't scream for attention, but the context? That's where the story lives. Shedeur Sanders went 4 for 7 in the Browns' joint practice against the Panthers. No touchdowns, no interceptions, just clean, disciplined, efficient quarterbacking. To the casual fan, it might look like a quiet outing, but for those watching closely, it was anything but. While the media was busy tracking who threw the most touchdowns, Shedeur was doing what true quarterbacks do: controlling the game, managing the pocket, and making the right reads. No flash, just presence. And when you're still listed as QB4, every single rep counts. Now compare that with the rest of the Browns' QB room. Joe Flacco went 8 for 13, steady but unspectacular. Kenny Pickett finally returned from his hamstring injury and tossed 2 touchdowns. Sure, but he's been out for nearly 2 weeks. Dylan Gabriel, the guy drafted ahead of Shedeur Sanders, had 1 touchdown but still hasn't shown command of the offense. And Huntley, he just got here. So why is Shedeur still buried on the depth chart? He's got the cleanest decision-making in the room, the best camp ball security, and he's the only quarterback in Cleveland not throwing risky passes. This isn't just about favoritism, it's about production. And Shedeur, the so-called developmental rookie, is playing like a man who doesn't need development at all. But what happens when another underdog, this one wearing a Panthers uniform, starts making headlines too? While Shedeur was calmly dismantling the Panthers defense, on the other sideline, in a different jersey but the same underdog energy, Jimmy Horn Jr. was turning heads in his own way. And not with hype or media attention, he did it the same way he did at Colorado, with blistering speed, perfect timing, and a chip on his shoulder the size of the league that passed on him 207 times. The Carolina Panthers took Jimmy Horn Jr. in the 6th round, a move that barely registered on most draft boards. But to those who watched him torch defenses at Jackson State and Colorado with Shedeur throwing him darts, they knew this wasn't a flyer. This was theft. And now Panthers coaches are saying it out loud. Dave Canales can't stop praising Horn's energy and his commitment to every route, and his never-quitting motor. He's playing fast, finding space, and executing like a veteran. In recent scrimmage, he took a motion route from Andy Dalton and walked it into the end zone. It was a play straight out of Colorado's playbook. The same timing, the same trust, the same explosiveness. But the part the media isn't talking about, the emotional impact of seeing Shedeur and Jimmy on the field again. These two weren't just teammates, they were brothers in battle. Both overlooked, both counted out, and now they're both making NFL rosters regret every single doubt. What comes next, though, might expose just how much Shedeur is still fighting behind the scenes. Not against defenders, but the Browns system itself. Even when Deion Sanders isn't in the building, his shadow still looms. That's the reality Shedeur Sanders lives with every day. He could go perfect in a joint practice, lead scoring drives in the preseason, and still, somehow, there's this quiet resistance in the room. Not from his teammates, not from fans, but from the NFL system that doesn't quite know what to do with the son of primetime. Kevin Stefanski told reporters this week, "We're past that," referring to Shedeur's arm soreness. Translation? Shedeur is 100% healthy and cleared for action. So why does it feel like the Browns are still holding him back? He's gotten the least reps of any quarterback on the roster, despite being the most efficient. He hasn't thrown a pick, he's shown command, he's shown calmness, but instead of a push forward, it's more sideline waiting. And we know what would happen if Deion did show up. Cameras, chaos, clickbait. That's why Shedeur told his dad not to come. He knows the second Prime walks into camp, the circus starts, and the excuses follow. The Browns would have one more reason to paint Shedeur as a distraction, one more reason to keep him with the backups, one more to say he's not ready without saying the quiet part out loud. The Deion effect is real. It's not just about celebrity, it's about legacy, race, and the power structures of the NFL not wanting to give too much spotlight to someone they didn't pick to be a star. But the moment Deion's name fades from the headlines, something even uglier is left behind. And that's where Shedeur's real battle
after
begins.
An explosion in
There's a
fire
ragtag army full of quarterbacks on the Browns roster, and yet Shedeur is the one being buried on the depth chart. Even after outshining Gabriel in decision-making, even after showing more control and discipline than Pickett, even after giving the Browns clean reps every time he touches the ball, this isn't about earning it. This is about controlling the narrative.
TV, we coming back with
Shedeur
another
Sanders
one.
was never supposed to be in this room, and they remind him of it every day. So my question is, are they sabotaging Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland? Amid all the drama, the deep-rooted politics, and the media distractions, there was a moment on the practice field that reminded everyone what this game is really about: brotherhood. Shedeur Sanders and Jimmy Horn Jr. reunited on the NFL field for the first time since their days lighting it up in Boulder. Two young men overlooked by scouts, underestimated by GMs, and undervalued by the system, now standing on opposite sidelines in the NFL. The connection is still electric. Jimmy had the kind of day that makes coaches rethink their whole depth chart. He was slicing up the Browns' second-team defense with the same breakaway quickness and fearless grit that made him Shedeur's go-to weapon at Colorado. Scoring in the mock scrimmage wasn't even the headline. It was just how natural he looked doing it. Same routes, same timing, different teams, same hunger. In Shedeur, he wasn't throwing bombs to Jimmy this time, but you could see the respect
in every glance they exchanged. He even told ESPN this week, "Jimmy definitely is missed. I miss seeing the smile at practice with his gold grill." Shedeur said, "That's not just nostalgia. That's the voice of someone who knows what real chemistry feels like." The NFL may have split them up on draft day, but fate put them back together on the field.
I just know covering
and in
this
that
draft,
moment, they weren't 5th and 6th round picks. They were stars in the making, proving every doubter wrong, side by side. But the league isn't sentimental, and Shedeur still has one more obstacle to overcome: the media machine that refuses to acknowledge what's right in front of them. Here's what the headlines won't tell you: Shedeur Sanders is quietly becoming the most efficient quarterback in Cleveland, and yet still being treated like a background character in his own story. The numbers are there, the composure is there, and the leadership is obvious. So why isn't the media giving him flowers? Because Shedeur's rise doesn't fit the NFL's preferred script. Flacco's the safe vet, easy to sell to fans. Pickett is a former first-rounder. The comeback story writes itself. Dillon Gabriel was handpicked 2 rounds earlier. The front office needs that investment to look smart. Huntley, a proven backup from Baltimore? He's safe. He's vanilla. But Shedeur? He brings different. He brings buzz. He brings eyes. And he brings the legacy of one of the most polarizing athletes in sports history, his father, Deion Sanders. That means the league can't control the narrative anymore. Because
the fundraiser comes after an explosion in fire displaced some
and that's what terrifies them. So instead of amplifying his performance, the media focuses on arm soreness. They downplay his reps.
So this is Mag Dog TV. We coming back with another one. So it looks like
that somehow erases everything he's done on the field. But Browns fans are starting to catch on. Social media is flooded with clips of Shedeur dropping dimes, fans calling out the hypocrisy, and questions flying at Stefanski's staff. The pressure is building because you can silence the media, you can manipulate the depth chart, but you can't ignore results forever. And now, with Shedeur starting in the preseason opener, the truth is about to hit the field. This Friday night, all the politics, all the excuses, and all the media spin gets stripped away. Because when the Browns line up against the Panthers, Shedeur Sanders won't be buried on the depth chart anymore. He'll be standing under the lights, taking snaps as Cleveland's starting quarterback. And next to him, his old teammate Jimmy Horn Jr. is now making noise in Carolina, carving up the defense and forcing his coaches to take notice. 2 underdogs, 2 so-called late-round gambles. And yet, both are already showing they don't just belong in the league, they're here to change it. For Shedeur, this isn't just about a preseason game.
This is the chance to take full control of the narrative,
I wasn't in
to
those
silence
meetings.
the skeptics,
I just know
to
covering
prove
this
he's
draft,
more
trying
than a
to
last name, and to expose every lie that's been whispered about why he fell in the draft. The Browns wanted to play it safe. The media wanted to look the other way. But Shedeur Sanders just forced their hand. So here's the question every fan, every coach, and every executive should be asking Friday. If Shedeur dominates, what excuse will they use next to keep him on the bench? Because when the final whistle blows, it won't be about where he was drafted or who his father is. It'll be about what the film says. And the tape doesn't lie. Thank you for watching. This is the Huddle HQ. Like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you soon with more NFL updates.